Hi, my name is Father Mike Schmitz, and this is Ascension. I just bit my tongue. Okay. We know prayer is essential. We know that prayer is good for us. We know that prayer is a gift of God, and also it's a response on our part. We're going to talk about that at some point, make a video about the battle of prayer. But we also recognize that it is really easy to get distracted in prayer. It happens to all of us to such a degree that we need to become accustomed to the reality that that's just what happens. But it doesn't mean you're failing in prayer. It's an obstacle, but it doesn't mean you're failing. And secondly, you can actually use distractions to help you pray. And so let's look at this for a second. First, recognize distractions in prayer are a natural thing. Why? Because your brain is not a static thing. Like your brain is a thing that is constantly moving. Think about this. We never hold one thought in our mind at a time because your brain is always active. Your brain is always active. Therefore, if you're thinking about one thing, you have to actively choose to think about that one thing again and again. You're constantly choosing it. And the moment there's some kind of distraction, your brain's going to start being directed toward that thing because our brains are not static. Our brains are incredibly dynamic. And so just right off the bat, right out of the gate, just realize, okay, I'm going to get distracted. That's just what's going to happen. Now, here's what happens typically, right? We're praying, we're talking to the Lord, or even meditating on something. So maybe we're doing some Lectio Divina, we're at Mass and the priest says something, or one of the prayers gets you to a place where you're just really praying about this in a deeper way. And then all of a sudden you find yourself like, wait, you are out the door. You are down the hallway, you're down the road, you are in a completely another county. Like it's a situation where you are right dialed in and all of a sudden you are on another planet. That is completely natural. Here's what happens. Right? We just think here's the gospel, and here's the gospel being preached is the gospel of the parable of the talents, right? So Jesus gives this person 10 talents and this person 5 talents, another person 1 talent, and you're just like, okay, talents, and wow, praying about talents, yeah, God's given us talents, and then you're like, yeah, America's got talent, yeah, and there's another show. I remember who did I see on America's Got Talent? Because that was a really incredible talent. Also, there's a Britain's Got Talent too. There's 2. I wonder which one's better. Simon Cowell's on both. Is he on both of those, or is he just on American Idol? Now, typically, what we do when we get distracted, we find ourselves going over here. What we typically do is we do what a new driver will do if they're ever on ice. If you've ever been a young driver on ice or a new driver on ice, or seen that, you know what they do? They start going off to the side, and so they massively overcorrect, right? And then what happens is you go not from that side of the road, you go to that side of the road. Sometimes that's what we do, right? We find ourselves kind of our minds are getting distracted a little bit, and so we realize we're distracted. We're way over here, and so then we just have to really overcorrect. So then instead of just bringing it back here, we're way over here now, and so we sometimes even get distracted by the fact that we're distracted, and that becomes well, I don't know what to do with my prayer now because I'm distracted by everything. That's why I think it was Saint Therese of Lisieux. She would say something like, if I'm distracted 1,000 times in my holy hour, 1,000 times, I will simply calmly, this is calm, I will calmly realize or recognize that I'm distracted and then gently bring my heart and my mind and my attention back to the Lord. And if I have to do that 1,000 times in my holy hour, I'll do it 1,000 times. And I'll do it calmly and gently. Just bring myself back. Bring my attention back to the Lord. That is, in so many ways, the key. The key? Sure, it's the key when it comes to distraction. Is just when I recognize there's the distraction, I'm gonna be calm and then be gentle with yourself and just gently bring yourself back to focus on, what was that? Oh, the talents. Right. God, let's talk about talents. It's so important. Now, at the same time, the Catechism says something about this, and it's really good. So not only when you recognize distractions, just calmly, gently bring your attention back here. But in Catechism 2729, it says this. I don't know if you've seen this. This is the Catechism of the Catholic Church. It's would recommend. To set about hunting down distractions will be to fall into their trap, when all that is necessary is to turn back to our heart. For a distraction reveals to us what we're attached to, and this humble awareness before the Lord should awaken our preferential love for Him and lead us to resolutely offer Him our heart to be purified. Let's highlight let's say here. It says, to set about hunting down distractions would be to fall into their trap, right? So to be able to say simply, I'm distracted by Britain's Got Talent, all of a sudden, whatever reason. And wait, Simon Cowell on that. And I need to find out. Why am I thinking about this? What's going on in my life? Wait a second. I have to stop and assess. I don't need to fall into their trap. I don't need to hunt down every distraction in my life, because that's to fall into their trap. But it goes on to say something I think is really profound. It says this: when all that is necessary is to turn back our heart. Remember, just that calm, gentle, turn back our heart to the Lord. Goes on to say, for a distraction reveals to us what we are attached to. A distraction reveals to us what we're attached to. And this is where we go to like next level stuff when it comes to prayer. Sometimes beginner level, there's like the kind of the absolute rule. Hey, don't fall into the distractions trap. Don't give them any attention. Don't pay them no mind. No, not at all. Don't get distracted by the distraction. Just calmly, gently get back to the Lord. But the next level is, wait a second. If my distraction reveals what my heart is attached to, it could be, and this is important to know that this could be the case. It could be the case that in prayer, I attend to the distraction and ask the question, why is this here? Or ask the question, what does this reveal about my heart? Because if my heart's attached to this thing, if I find myself, think about this, our mind will naturally tend to think about the things that we find most compelling. Our mind will naturally, not always, but a lot of times, our mind will tend to those things that we care about the most. So if you are someone who loves gaming or something, or you love some other kind of sports, or you love, what's the thing? It's fantasy football or something like this. And you're in prayer and you find yourself thinking about gaming, or you find yourself thinking about sports, or find yourself thinking about your fantasy football team. That's because those are things you really care about. If you're in a relationship with someone and you're in love with them, you might be in prayer thinking about them. Because why? Because that's what you really care about. If you're in prayer and you're thinking about work, well, it reveals, okay, that's what I really care about. If you're in prayer and you're thinking about money, could be because that's what you really care about. If you're in prayer thinking about your body or exercise, it could reveal that that's what you really, really care about. Now, to just simply like shut that down, sometimes you might need to. Sometimes it's like, okay, that's fine, that's there. I don't need to think about that now. That is merely a distraction. It could be at times though, this isn't a distraction. This is revealing something to me. This is revealing something to me about my own heart. That man, my heart belongs more to my work than it does to the Lord. My heart belongs more to this obsession or preoccupation with money or my body or my health or my fantasy football league than it does anything else. And maybe you want to attend that and say, God, do you want me to do something with this? That's the simple thing. Again, the first level, I recognize the distraction, calmly, gently bring my attention back to the Lord. But at times, if it's persistent, I realize this is revealing what my heart is attached to, and I get to attend to it, right? Just kind of examine it and say, okay, I keep thinking about whatever the thing is. To bring that to the Lord. And not to just, okay, I'm going to focus on the thing, but to take that and say, okay, this might be the focus of my prayer right now. See, what it doesn't do is it doesn't say, oh, just look at the distraction, chase down the distraction, attend to the distraction. It's attend to the distraction and realize that might be the real focus of your prayer. Where now I say, okay, God, I found myself being preoccupied with work or relationship or this argument I had or whatever the thing is. And you bring that before the Lord because that's what's deepest in your heart. So what the Lord wants to talk about with you, what's deepest on your heart. So keep these two things in mind. On basic level, three things in mind. On a basic level, distractions are normal. They're obstacles, they're battles, but you can do this. They're completely normal. Secondly, when we recognize that we're being distracted, to be calm about it and gently bring our attention back to the Lord. But thirdly, there are times when I have to attend to this and say, okay, God, why is this here? What is it that you want me to do with this? And maybe what God wants you to do with this, He's inviting you to do with this, is take that distraction and allow it to be the thing that He and you and He, that both of you like attend to. And that becomes maybe the focus of your prayer. Lord, show me what to do with this distraction. And let that be the thing that makes your prayer even more honest, that lets your prayer become even more deep, that lets your prayer become even more powerful. Because you're bringing this thing that's deep in your heart to the Lord of your heart, our Lord Jesus Christ. Anyways, that's what I got for today. From all this here to Ascension Presents, my name's Father Mike. God bless.